Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to Questpond's YouTube channel. And what are we doing today? Today we are covering three questions, which are asked in C# interviews. And these three questions, they are very simple actually. Developers have been using them a lot of time. But when it comes to answering them, it becomes difficult. So we're going to cover three topics: aggregation, composition, and association. So as I've said that these three topics or these three concepts developer have been using a lot in their project. It's only about expressing it out in the interview. So what happens is they are using it, but they are not able to express the definitions. They are not able to answer the questions, right? So in this 20 minutes of video, I'll be covering 6 questions, and I'm pretty sure that once you go through this 20 minutes, you should be able to tackle all the questions around these three topics in a very confident way. So let us get started.
One of the places where C# interviews can be very confusing in object-oriented programming is around relationship questions. If you see, we have two broader kinds of relationships. One is inheritance and other one is the using relationship. Now please note, the interviewer can use vocabularies like is a to represent an inheritance relationship and a has a to represent a using relationship. So like Shiv is a child of his father and Shiv has a heart. So sometimes the interviewer, rather than directly saying inheritance or saying using relationship, they can say, they can use vocabularies like is a and has a. Now inheritance relationship is pretty straightforward. I mean, it is just parent-child relationship and nothing more than that, right? But when it comes to the using relationship, there are more types to it. So if you look at using relationship, there are three types of using relationship. One is composition, association, and the last one is aggregation. And all of these three types, they look very similar, they look very nearby, but they are not, right? And that's why, many of the candidates, feel confused, when the questions come around these three, right? So what we'll do is, let us take the easiest one of these three and let us first answer question around it, right? So first let us start with must be composition, right? So let us start with composition, then we will do aggregation, and then we will do association. So basically we are trying to go from the easiest one to the toughest one, right? So let us start with composition. When you are answering questions around composition and aggregation, right, proper use of vocabularies is a must. And one of the vocabularies, which I feel can be very useful when answering questions around aggregation and composition is using the vocabulary part-whole relationship, right? So let me first make you understand this vocabulary part-whole relationship, and then we will try to answer the question of composition, right? Part-whole relationship is nothing but, when the objects are connected as a part and a whole. For example, sleeves is a part of a shirt. So shirt is the whole and sleeves are part of it. Wheels is a part of the car. So car is the whole and wheels is a part of it. Branch is a part of a tree and chapter is a part of a book and word is a part of a sentence and letter is a part of the word, right? And you can see on my code out here, the problem is a part of the patient. So problem is the part and patient is the whole. So this patient is the whole and the problem is a part of it, right? So first thing, in composition and aggregation specifically, there has to be a part-whole relationship. There has to be a meaningful relationship. They should have some kind of a great semantic connection between that. Semantic means a meaningful connection, right? So patient has problems, right? So now we'll try to answer composition, right? So this is important, part-whole relationship. So now here goes the answer. Composition is a part-whole relationship. So composition is a part-whole relationship, where the lifetime of the part object and the whole object is same. Where the lifetime of the part object and whole object is same. Means what? When you talk about the patient, right? If you say someone is a patient, he should have problems. You can't say that he is a patient without a problem, isn't it, right? So he's no more a patient then. And when you talk about a problem, then it should have an associated patient with that, right? So basically, when you have a very tight part-whole relationship, where the object lifetime of both the whole and the part is same, then that becomes a composition. Remember this word composed of, like for example, Shiv is composed of its heart and blood and veins. And so in other words, that if his heart goes off, let's think about, let's not think about heart transplant, right? So but let's say if the heart goes off, then Shiv is no more alive. If the Shiv goes off, must be the heart stops thumping, isn't it? So basically, in a part-whole relationship, when the part and the whole objects are connected very tightly, then it becomes a composition relationship. They are composed of each other, right? Easy. So I repeat the answer. Composition is nothing but it's a part-whole relationship where the lifetime of both the part object and the whole object is same. If one goes, the other does not have a existence. If the other goes, the part does not have an existence. So when the patient object is alive, the problems object is alive. When the problems object is alive, the patient object is alive. The patient does not have any meaning without the problems object. Talking about a problems object without a patient does not have any meaning. Now let us take the next question, aggregation. Aggregation is again, there is a part-whole relationship. There is a very deep semantic relationship between the objects. But in this case, the lifetime of the objects can be different. Like for example, you can see over here, we have this patient and the doctor, right? So definitely every patient needs a doctor to treat, and every doctor actually works on a patient, right, at the end of the day. But this doctor can be allocated to some other patient. This patient can work with some other doctor to get treatment, right? For example, you can say some of the examples again of aggregation which I can think about is like song is a part of a playlist, but that song can become again a part of different playlist as well, right? So the song can exist without the playlist can exist without the song. For example, computer has monitors. Now there is a part-whole relationship. A monitor is a part of the computer, but that monitor, I'm talking about old computers, okay, not the laptop ones. So, if you look at the old, so the monitor can get attached to some other CPU and or the computer, right? And the computer can get allocated to can have some other monitor as well connected to it, right? So basically, when you talk about aggregation, right, there is again a part-whole relationship, but the objects are independent of each other. They can live without each other, right? But when they come together, they do have a great semantic connection. They do have a very proper semantic connection, right? So you can see here, this patient has doctors, but this doctor can be allocated to someone else, and the patient can work with some other doctors. But the patient has problem. This is again a part-whole relationship, but there is more of a tight relationship. Here, the problem object cannot exist without the patient and vice versa, right? And if you see out here in my code, what I've done is I've very clearly also I've said that the creation object, the doctor object creation and the lifetime of the doctor object creation is not done by the patient as such. It is done from it is done from somewhere else. But in case of a problem, he is the owner of the problem object. That's the right word. He is the owner of the problem object. He owns that. He owns his lifetime, right? So when you're answering, aggregation and composition, please use this word part-whole relationship and then emphasize on the object lifetime. I'm trying to give you a 30,000 feet level, that how the answer can be put before the interviewer, right? So in case of composition, it is a part-whole relationship, but there is a tight connection. In case of aggregation also, there is a part-whole relationship, but the objects can have independent lifetime. They can be allocated to some other objects, and they can live without each other, right? So I'm putting the definitions also on the computer, on the screen there, right? So that you can just read it and you can just get a grasp of it.
Okay, so before we go to the fourth question about association, here is a small announcement. So basically, we have a detailed, comprehensive course of Csharp interview questions, which has approximately 150 questions with code demonstration, with detailed answers, and it is approximately of 7 hours. And I'm pretty sure that if you go through all these questions and answers, right, you should be able to crack any Csharp interview, right? So what I've done is, in the comments link down below, the first 1 hour is absolutely free. And even if you do that, right, you should be able to handle 20% of your interview very easily. So let us start with the fourth question. What is association?
Now let's talk about the most confusing part of all of these three, which is association. This is where, really, people get confused, what is the difference, right? And frankly, the difference is so thin, or I'll say it is almost not existing, right? So that's why, it becomes very difficult to clarify that what is the difference between them, right? But let me try to answer out here. So association says that there is a link between the objects. Means, for example, you can see patient is linked with problems. Yes, it is an association. Patient is linked with a doctor. Yes, it's an association. But you can see this patient is also using a check bed object out here, which checks, if there is a bed, and it gets a bed number, right? Now, if you look at this check bed class, right, the relationship of patient and check bed, they don't have really anything semantic relationship, any kind of a relationship, which you say that, okay, it is more of a technical relationship, you can say, right? Isn't it? So so there is a link between the objects, but it is not aggregation, it is not composition, right? And so on. So when developers talk about association, what I've seen is that many developers do agree that composition and aggregation are subset of association. So when you're not clear that this is a composition or this is an aggregation, right, then you just say this is an association, frankly. So association is more of the main category, and then there are two types of different categories. One is composition and one is aggregation, right? So in the interview, you can say association just defines that two objects are dependent on each other, right? And aggregation and composition are subset of association. One of the things, what you can really do out here is that you can be prepared. You can be prepared with good examples. So keep good, practical and convincing examples, around these three concepts, by which the interviewer knows that you are clear about the subject, right? So I would suggest that take this as a homework. Create, some of your own examples where you say that, okay, this is one of the examples in my project where I found it to be composition. I found it to be aggregation, and this is an example where it says it is neither composition, neither aggregation, but there is a dependency, right? So with that, what happens is when you're speaking in the interview, there is confidence, there is clarity, and you are demonstrating practical examples and so on, right? So I would suggest to keep in your mind, some examples which can help you to convince the interviewer. Please don't give examples like trees and rivers and cycles and TVs and mobile and etc. Try to give examples like inventory or payroll, or like how here you can see I'm giving examples around healthcare, right? So if you're from a travel industry, must be you can think about examples of passengers and flights. If you're from some other industry, you can use the domain of that industry and give some good examples. So let's quickly revise, right? So first thing, when it comes to association, it indicates that there is a dependency between objects, and the best way to answer in the interview, you can say that aggregation and composition are subset of association. So you can say that association indicates a generic dependency, right? A generic dependency between objects, right? Now, between aggregation and composition, I think the first point is that you should talk about the part-whole relationship. Both of them have semantically that part-whole relationship, right? Now, what differentiates them? Two things. First is the lifetime of the object. So in case of aggregation, the lifetime of both the objects, that is the part and the whole objects, they are independent of each other, while in case of composition, they are dependent on each other, right? So if in composition, if one object goes off, the other object also has to go off, right? While in case of aggregation, it is possible that both of them exist without each other. So one object can be shared with other objects also, right? But in case of composition, it cannot be. One of the words, which in composition you can use it, is the death relationship. So death relationship says that when one object goes off, the other object also goes off, right? So must be you can use these kind of vocabularies to emphasize your knowledge. The second thing which I would like to highlight out here is ownership. In case of aggregation, there is no ownership. Both the objects are just using each other, but there is no ownership, right? But in case of composition, there is a ownership. The parent object owns that object. He creates the instance. He is responsible, for that object to be destroyed and so on, right? So I think when you're answering the questions, right, remember these 2-3 points: part, whole, lifetime, ownership, and association indicates that, or I'll say aggregation and composition are subset of association, right? So must be, when you're going there and you get these three questions right, you can prepare a roadmap. You can keep some points in your mind, and most important is keep a very good example. I've given example of the patient and the doctor and so on, right? But you can create your own examples depending on your domain. One of the connected question which comes around these three things is to draw the UML symbols or to explain the UML symbols. Now, definitely I feel, that for UML, we should have a separate lecture where we should talk about the most important UML diagrams. But at this moment, I feel to do justice for this chapter, right, let me quickly draw the diagrams out here. But I promise that in the coming times, I will have a separate topic on UML questions as well, right? Remember that this course, Csharp interview questions and answers course by me, is an open-ended course. In other words, even like after 2-3 years, I will keep adding questions out here, right? So it's not something I'm saying that it is done. I know that there is more and there is more and there is more, right? So let us answer this question. So basically, so if you see out here, the relationship between patient and problem is composition, right? The relationship between patient and doctor is aggregation, and the relationship between patient and check bed is association. Now please understand, relationship between patient and problem is also association. Relationship between patient and doctor is also association. But because we know that we know more than association, so we'll draw the diagrams of composition and aggregation, right? So first thing, for association, right, you just draw a simple arrow. So you will just say like this, a simple arrow out here which says that this checkout is associated with this patient, right? This check bed, I'm sorry, you can see the check bed out here is associated with patient, right? To define association, aggregation and composition, right, we use the diamond symbol, right? So if you see out here, the doctor is aggregated. So you can see here, this is aggregation, right? This is association. So aggregation, you have a diamond, but this diamond is not filled. In case of composition, like problem, a patient is composed of problems, right? So here you will have a filled diamond. So this is a filled diamond, right? So this is composition. So remember the symbols out here for UML. For composition, it is a filled diamond. For aggregation, it is an empty diamond. And for simple association, you just show a simple arrow.
So that brings us to the end of this video. Now, before I end this video, right, it would be very unjustful if I don't discuss this out. So in this whole video, we discussed three topics, right? We discussed about composition, we discussed about aggregation, and we discussed about association. Now, aggregation and composition, developers are very clear about it. I'm pretty sure the answers are clear around the web, answers are clear between the candidate, between the interviewers, between all the developer community. But this association, right, it is a bit controversial. Something association is just an object referring, something that association is just a method call, right? So I have answered the question definitely here in this video, but let me know if you think it is something different. Please write down in the comments below. Do you think the answer which I gave about association, it is different? What do you think, right? So that I can also learn, I can also look at a different perspective. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Happy learning, happy job hunting, and don't worry about recession. Thank you.